It's the Devy Digest powered by League Winners. I'm Andy, and we're talking Senior Bowl risers and fallers. We cover all this and more after the intro. What is going on? We're back with a new episode. And before we talk Senior Bowl, guys, let's talk about some quick hitters here. We are talking about the East West Shrine Bowl. Now, that the game takes place on, I believe, Thursday night, and they've been practicing since, I believe, Sunday. So far, from what I've gathered, Kentucky's quarterback, Devin Leary, he's been showcasing a strong arm during the entire practices. Western Kentucky's quarterback, Austin Reed, he's done everything well so far. I'm starting to wonder if he's going to be that Brock Purdy type of a player that does everything well, interviews well, and just slowly rises during the draft process and eventually, lands on a team where if things fall in the right place, he can end up being a starter one day. Memphis's running back, Blake Watson, he's been showcasing his hands and his catching ability. He's just showcasing his natural hands as a receiver during the one-on-one drills and during the practice sessions. Running back for Tennessee, Jabari Small, he's showcasing his elusiveness in practice. But the next three guys are the wide receivers that have really caught the eye. And we're going to start with Virginia's Malik Washington. He's been making acrobatic catches daily, someone that is really showcasing strong ball tracking skills, and someone that is really going to rise during the combine and the draft process. Another person making acrobatic catches daily is USC's Taj Washington. Now, during the season, he was arguably USC's best wide receiver. He is on the smaller side, so we're looking at more of a projected slot receiver at the next level, but he's someone that's been making plays every single day in practice. And then finally, UTSA's Josh Cephas. He's someone that is showing great body control. He's also impressed during the one-on-one and the individual practices here. And then finally, Colorado State's tight end, Dallin Holker. He's probably stolen the show this past week. By all indications, he's looked fantastic in practices, and he is making play after play. All the coaches are raving about him, and he's someone that has really good route running savviness. He understands zone and zone spacing, so he's someone that is going to be intriguing during the draft process. Now, we're going to be talking about Senior Bowls, and it is, I think, with the Senior Bowl practices and the game itself, we have to take it with a grain of salt. We have guys that are meant for these practices, and some of these guys really aren't. The bigger body guys like Xavier Legette, Brandon Rice, those are guys that we don't really expect to really be impactful during these one-on-one individual drills. But then you have guys like a Jacob Cowing, Anais Smith, some of these smaller, shiftier guys like Alad McConkey, Roman Wilson. These are guys that we are projecting should do well in these kind of drills. So I wouldn't necessarily downgrade anyone if they aren't looking good. At the same time, I wouldn't, prop someone up for doing something that they're supposed to do. Like, I would downgrade someone like a Roman Wilson if he did not come out and look really crisp during his routes and during the individual one-on-ones. By the same token, if, say, for example, Xavier Legette was showing out during the one-on-one drills, I would actually upgrade him because we don't expect that from him. Xavier Legette is more of a bully ball type of receiver. It's not really a technical, win with footwork kind of a guy, so I wouldn't expect someone like that to do well. So I do want to take that into consideration when you guys are looking at these risers and fallers. some of these guys, they're supposed to look good. And if they don't look good, that's the worry. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these guys here. The first guy that I want to talk about is Javon Baker. He is someone that began his career at Alabama. He's 6'1", 208 pounds. He transferred down to UCF, made an immediate impact. Some of his pros, he is really good at the catch point, strong hands. He does high point the ball. Where he struggles on tape is creating separation. And at times, his footwork can be a little lackluster. That has come through during the first 2 days for Senior Bowl practices. So what we've seen so far, that has translated. He has won some of the 50-50 balls, but he had a rep today early on. It was a curl rep where he probably took about 5 steps to slow down and turn. So while we don't expect him to be flashy and do those things, it is something to take note. It's not part of his game, so we really shouldn't downgrade that aspect. Where I do kind of downgrade him is during the 11-11 portion. He had some drops. He had some opportunities for the 50-50 balls at the corner, ended up winning and ended up deflecting the ball. So overall, he hasn't really helped his stock. I personally have a 6-round grade on him. I think he's fine. I think he does everything okay. He doesn't really excel at any one aspect. He seems to be more of that body camp type guy where, if things fall into place, where he's in a good room, can learn from someone with his similar body stature, can kind of eventually make something out of himself, but I don't think he'll make an immediate impact right away. And so far during the week of practices, we are seeing that take place. The next guy that I want to talk about is Jacob Cowing. He measured in at 5'8", 165 pounds. Now, what he does well is he has a great change of direction. He will change on a dime. Real explosive player. He separates easily. He's the kind of guy that we expect to shine at the Senior Bowl practices. He's someone that we expect to look really good during the one-on-one drills, being able to pretty much trick the corner into going where he's not. And so he's someone that we expect to do well in this kind of situation. Now, what he does lack is overall size. Also, 72.7% of his targets are under 10 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. So he is someone that has really low A dot. I believe his A dot is like 5.5 yards. So it's really low. So far during the 2 days, from what I've seen, he's had some good one-on-one reps. But overall, I don't think he's hurt his stock, but I don't think he's improved his stock. What we've seen is these corners, what they've done is they're able to get into his body, absorb the contact, and Cowing can't shake that. And so if he's not able to do that in the one-on-one setting, what's going to happen at the next level? So that is a little bit of a concern that I do have with him. Now, I currently have a 4th-round grade on him. I'm kind of lowering that, to be perfectly honest. I think he might be a 5th-round grade for me when it's all said and done. The people that were hyping him up to be the next Tank Dell, I think they're disappointed. I think they're the ones that's mostly disappointed. I think overall with Cowing's profile, what you see so far is kind of what you expected. So a 4th to a 5th-round grade is what I have on him. Now, the next guy that I want to talk about is Malachi Corley. Now, he comes in at 5'10", 215 pounds. And if you guys have been listening to me, you guys know the 5'10", 210 guys are my kind of running backs. And this guy used to be a running back, a converted running back, now a wide receiver. He's a very physical runner, really good after the catch. Now, he does have a lot of negative traits to his profile that I want to make people aware of this. He doesn't have refined footwork at all. He has a very limited route tree. As a route runner, he doesn't use finesse. It's more of just that bully ball type of a style, I guess you can say, with that limited route tree. Now, for him, 75.7% of his targets were 10 yards and under, including behind the line of scrimmage. He's someone that was schemed up for short area screens where they just gave him the ball in space and let him create. Now, he is a kind of player that I was interested in because you would think he would excel on these one-on-one practices because it's him in open space, that this is kind of his game. But what we're seeing is his lack of refinement in his footwork, and he's losing a lot of these one-on-one drills. He's having to use his physical strength to win in these short areas, kind of, pushing, moving the corner away instead of using his footwork to get open. So that is a little bit of a worry. Now, we did see today in day 2 during the practice session, the 11-11, they did scheme him up for a reverse, and he was able to make some, good head wave on that. My concern with him at the next level, he's just going to be that returner, the guy that you scheme up, packages for that has maybe 5-10 plays a game. And if you kind of need that juice, you kind of need something, that's when you put him in. So I do worry about him eventually being that gadgety LaVisca Chenault type of a guy, where there's a lot of hype on him. But then once you get him in the NFL roster, and you see that he's pretty limited on what he can actually do, but he's talented enough to make the roster. You just don't know what to do with him. So I'm starting to kind of get those kind of vibes with Corley. I have a 4th round grade on him. I feel okay with that 4th round grade. I don't think he climbs up to the 3rd, to be perfectly honest. So I think he's someone that overall hasn't improved his stock. He is what he is. The next guy that I want to talk about is Ricky Purcell. Now, he is someone that has looked pretty good. He measured in 6 feet, 193 pounds. Now, he began his career at Arizona State, then transferred and finished his career at Florida. He's a very good route runner, knows how to separate, good footwork, good hands. He isn't necessarily a burner, but he's got good enough speed, and he's able to use that quick burst to get separation at the very last second. So overall, from what I've seen, he's done okay with his reps. I believe day 1 he slipped on his first 2 reps, and then today he had a rep where the corner just kept him just beat him, and so he's had those 3 reps offhand that I can remember. But overall, I think he's done okay. He's shown that he is a good route runner. He's shown that he can separate and get open. So I do like that. I'm getting Adam Thielen vibes from him, watching him in this kind of setting. I really do like him. I do like what I see. I personally have a 3rd round grade on him. I think his one-on-one reps, I think he's helped himself. I don't think anything negatively has come out of this, so I do think that is good for him. The next guy I really do think has really helped his stock, and that's Roman Wilson. He came in at 5'10", 186 pounds. Now, he has verified 4.37 40 speed, and he has verified markers that we've seen. So he was made for this kind of a setting to showcase himself, and that's exactly that it's come across. He's a very good athlete. This past season at Michigan, he showed his consistency, which was something that was always lacking the previous years. So he is someone that I have always been high on. I've been on record since October stating that he would be a top 3 slot wide receiver in this class, and he is showcasing that. He is doing very well in the one-on-one sessions, and he's doing pretty good in the 11-on-11 practices. He's making plays left and right both days so far. So I do think he's improved his stock, and he's done very well. Now, he is a very smooth route runner, very fluid athlete, really good body control. I personally have a second round grade on him. As you can see, for those of you that are watching the background here, I am a Michigan Wolverines fan. So, while I am a Michigan Wolverines fan, I have been pretty critical on Roman Wilson. So he is someone that I've liked, during the process. And I do think at the end of the day, he gets that second, third round grade on him. I don't. I've seen some mocks beforehand where he's a fifth round guy. I don't think he slips to the fifth. I think he gets taken at the very latest by round 3. The next guy that we're going to talk about is Ryan Flournoy. He is 6'1", 200 pounds. Played ball at Southeast Missouri State. He's been the biggest question mark of the week. He's the guy that can make the most money just because his grade is anywhere from an undrafted free agent to, I don't know, possibly a fourth rounder. It depends on how he does throughout the next couple of days. I really don't know what to think about him. He made the All-Star circuit before. He was at the Hulu Bowl. He's pretty athletic. Supposedly he's been lasered at 4.4 in the 41-inch vert. He supposedly has a 10-foot broad jump, squats 510 pounds. So far from what I've seen, it's been okay. Some guys are noting that he's lit it up the past 2 days. I personally haven't seen that. I'm not there in Mobile. I know guys who are there in Mobile that I've talked to, and they said it's been okay. It hasn't stood out. So, if from my eyes he hasn't stood out, and I've talking to guys that are actually in Mobile and they're saying the same thing, I kind of tend to believe what I see with my eyes than these random people that are saying he's lighting it up. Coming into this, I had a 6th-round grade to an undrafted free agent. Nothing's really changed for me. He's there. He's fine. If he shows out on day 3 and then does well at the actual game, I think he can help his stock. But right now, he's still a pretty big question mark. The next guy at the Senior Bowl is Anais Smith. He measured in at 5'9", 191 pounds. He's a really twitchy athlete, a spark plug, has a high motor. He is one of these guys that is supposed to excel in this kind of environment because he runs those two-way routes in games, and he is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. So he's someone, from the 2 days that I've seen, he's trying too hard. He is trying to impress, so he is overthinking it. He's not just going out there and reacting to the corner. He's planning his moves ahead of time, and if it's not going his way, he's doing more things, and overall it just looks a little clunky. So I think he's been okay. I don't think he's hurt his stock, but he's definitely hasn't improved his stock. He hasn't helped himself. Coming into this, I had about a 5th to a 6th round grade, and I'm still there. I'm still at a 5th or a 6th round grade. He hasn't done much on the 11-on-11 sessions. I think he had a screen today. It was, I believe, a double screen, and he went back to the line of scrimmage where the offensive linemen were, and he just got swallowed up. So his vision has been something that's been questioned, and that rep really showcased that vision where he needs to improve that. The next guy, he was the guy that was expected to make a huge rise, and that's Ladd McConkey. He measured in at 5'11", 187 pounds, and he is someone that is made for these all-star kind of rounds, these one-on-one reps, 11-on-11. He's a very smooth route runner, very, very silky smooth. He knows where to sit in zone coverages, a very good change of direction. He's someone that's really shifty, really smart, knows his craft. What I love about him is he knows when he's running his route, he knows where his quarterback wants him to be, and he sits right there. He isn't that the type of receiver that will continue on with the route. If he feels this is where he needs to be for his quarterback, he's going to be right there for the quarterback. So he's someone that I really do like. Now, he was going to be everyone's riser before. Anyone that says, you know, they were in on him being the riser before anybody else, those people, they're just trying to make themselves look smarter than they really are. Anyone who's ever watched Lad McConkey knew he was going to shine in this kind of environment. He's done well in the one-on-ones. Today for day 2, he didn't really do much during the 11-11 portion, but there was a route towards the end. Spencer Rattler was the quarterback. He was in the slot. He ran an in route, and then Lad just sat perfectly in the soft coverage of the zone. Just what I was mentioning earlier. He knows where to sit in zone coverages, and at the next level, these quarterbacks are going to love him. So I have a second round grade on him. I've had a second round grade on him. He's someone that I don't think slips out past pick 45. I think there's a chance that he can get late first round draft capital, someone I can see teams falling in love with, someone where teams trade back up to the first to kind of get him and that 5th year. I know we usually look at that for quarterbacks, but I think with a player like Lad, I think teams will want all 5 years if they can get 5 years with him. So I would not be surprised if at the end of the day he goes at the end of the first round. The next guy that I want to talk about is Jaheim Bell. He came in at 6'1", 244 pounds, a little undersized. He is that athletic chess piece. He's a creator with the ball in his hands. He reminds me of Delaney Walker a little bit. And my concerns are that he might be a tweener at the next level. We saw some pass and run blocking reps yesterday and today. From what I've seen, he's an able body. I'll put it that way. He doesn't excel at run or pass blocking, but at least he's giving it that effort, and he is staying in front of his defender. And so that, at the very least, is a good showing. He's at the very least making that effort. And that's really all you want to see from someone that is giving up 30, 40, possibly 50 pounds to his defender that he's trying to block. Now with him, he's done some nice work on one-on-one drills. He's had a couple of one-on-one drills that I saw where the corner is all over him, and he just pretty much just shrugs him off and completes the catch in the entire process. During the 11-11 portion, he's made some nice plays. He had a play today on day 2 where he beat his defender for an out route. Shows some really good athleticism. He grabbed the ball, kind of bobbled it, and kind of re-caught it, but only got 1 foot in bounds. He's someone that I'm interested on. He is landing spot dependent. If he goes to a team where they want to use him exclusively as an inline tight end, he probably won't succeed. But if he goes to a spot where he's able to detach from the line, move him around, kind of be that H-back role, that kind of move tight end kind of a role, I do kind of like him. I have a 3rd round grade on him. He's been my sleeper tight end for the process, along with Jared Wiley for TCU. Those 2 guys I'm big fans of. So at the time now, I do have a 3rd round grade on him. The next guy that I want to talk about is Daylon Edwards for Georgia, the running back, 5'9", 202 pounds. He's someone that the tape is nice. He will run between the tackles. He's a tough runner, good vision, good contact balance. He's been effective as a player the past 2 years for Georgia. Was the lead guy there this year at 13 rushing touchdowns. He does come in over the 200 pounds. With these running backs, when they're in the all-star kind of environment, they don't really get to showcase much because there is no hitting. There's no anything like that until the actual game. So what we see are, some wheel routes, some, outlet passes. We kind of see how good their hands are, but it's not really, anything to take note of. Uh, Day one during the 11-on-11, he had a really nice run where he did a spin. He spun back to the line and got some good opening. He also had a nice receiving rep. I believe it was today where he made a nice catch where he was able to track the ball. So he's someone that's intriguing. I currently have a 6 round grade on him. It's really it's not a robust running back class. So with a 6 round grade on him right now, that might end up being the 10th or 12th running back taken. So just having a 6 round grade isn't necessarily a bad thing. The next guy that I want to talk about is Amani Bailey. He came in at 5'7", 208 pounds. So he does come in undersized. That is a little bit of concern. I believe at TCU I want to say he was measured at like 5'9" or 5'10". So, it kind of matches up with the tape. He is a violent runner, has good vision. He runs like he's shot out of a cannon. I've comped him to the running style of Isaiah Pacheco. He has really good hands in the receiving game. I think that's where he'll make his mark on it at the next level. His hands have translated so far. He's had I want to say 3 or 4 nice reps that have stood out in my head, either during the one-on-one drills or the 11-11 portion. So he's someone that's interesting. I want to see more pass blocking reps. I really haven't seen much, if any, the past 2 days. So that is something that I am looking forward to seeing. If he's able to withstand pass blocking, I think that'll help him along the way. And with him being undersized at 5'7", right now, I currently have a 5th-round grade on him. I wouldn't fault anyone who had a 6th, 7th, or even an undrafted grade on him. I wouldn't fault that, but I do think with his running style, with how productive he was, and with his natural receiving hands, I do think he makes an NFL roster. And with these running backs, we've seen these running backs where, these guys are 4th, 5th, 6th-round guys, and they appear to be nothing, but then they really impress, in the summer, and then they get their opportunities, and then they kind of rise up to that to that situation. And I think he's one of those that could be that kind of a back. Now, with these running backs, what I do want to make this analogy. I made this analogy before on a different show, but not on this show. So I kind of want to bring this up because it is kind of important now to bring up. Nowadays, the running backs, they are getting devalued. So what I typically do is I bump them up 2 rounds. And so what I mean by that is if someone is drafted in the 6th round, I will give them a 4th-round grade. Someone that is drafted in a 4th round, it's really a mid-second round grade. And by thinking it that way, I think that'll help your evaluation when you're doing your rookie drafts and you're kind of figuring out where these guys go. And for example, if anyone goes before pick 45, those are guys that have every chance to be a stud. We're talking about Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, Ken Walker, Travis Etienne, even Javonte Williams. Najee Harris still might have some life with Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator at Pittsburgh now. So, those are kind of how I view the running backs situation. So guys that are taken in the 3rd round, those guys are pretty good. Guys that are taking the 5th round, don't view them as a 5th rounder. View them as that 3rd round guy, the late 3rd, early 4th type. Kind of bump them up, and I think that'll help. You guys think about these running backs now. For the quarterbacks groups, what I wanted to do is kind of tier them. I didn't want to go over 100 players on this episode, so my tier one guys so far have been Michael Penix and Michael Pratt. I think Michael Pratt has done really well in this past 2 days. So that's tier one. Then it's a drop to a tier two, which is Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix has struggled so far. He's struggled with accuracy, struggled with ball placement. I think there were a couple of times where he got confused on what the play call was, so he had to go back and ask what the play was. I think the environment for Bo Nix, I think it's kind of speeding up on him a little bit. So I did have him in a second tier with Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, he's missed on some throws. He had an interception day one, but he's out there. He's being a leader. He's being that vocal guy. He has the intangibles. He has the arm. He has all these traits. It's just what's between the ears. Those are the questions, and I do have him at the tier two, and then it's a big drop to tier three with Sam Hartman, Joe Milton. Joe Milton's still just throwing fastballs. He's throwing heaters left and right. I don't think he's really learned that change up. And then Carter Bradley. Now, these are some other guys that I want to mention. Pros and cons. I just want to give them some mention. Xavier Leggett, he's a bully ball type guy. He's not that technical route runner, so he's not someone that's going to win with footwork. Day one, I thought he struggled. Today for day two, I thought he did better. He won on some of the one-on-one drills, and then he made a nice catch during the 11-on-11 portion of it. I currently have a 4th to 5th round grade on him, and every time I talk about Xavier Leggett, I will let everyone know that I am a little biased on him. I'm someone, I was high on him back in September, so he's kind of someone that, he's kind of one of those, my guys. So I am a little biased towards him, but I do have that 4th to 5th round grade. Johnny Wilson is someone that I want to mention. I think athletically he's capped. I think he has poor footwork. He's not a great separator. He isn't physical. He doesn't high point the ball. There's been talks. Well, there's been talks since last August of how some people think he'll eventually move into a tight end, but he's not physical enough to be a tight end. And with him not high pointing the ball, he's not going to be that red zone threat. I think someone will take him as a project and try to develop him. They'll try to stash him on the practice squad. But at the end of the day, I really don't see much in him. I have a 7th round grade on him, but it could easily be that undrafted free agent grade. Brennan Rice is another one that I want to talk about. On tape, he doesn't separate, nor does he make any adjustments while tracking the ball, and that has shown itself for the past 2 days. I have a 5th round grade on him. I don't think he's hurt himself or helped himself. I think what you see is what you get. I don't think he's really changed anybody's minds. Tez Walker, he's had an up and down couple of days. Day one, he had a bad one-on-one rep. He did a curl where the corner stepped in front and picked it off. Day two, he was stopped on a one-on-one drill. He had 3 drops on day two, but he did make it up towards the end of the morning session. He was able to reach behind his body and grab a ball, so he was able to do that. He did have a nice vertical rep today during the one-on-one drills where he kind of faked the defender, had him beat, kind of faked him, and then just blew right past him. There's been talks about him having a 1st round grade. I don't have a 1st round grade on him. I have a third round grade on him. I think what he does well is he is that vertical field stretching kind of a guy. He's not someone that's going to win with footwork. He's not a route running savant. He's not going to be someone that is going to run a full route tree for you. I think he's going to run the vertical route. I kind of comp him to a less speedy Christian Watson type. I think at the next level that's who he is. I think he's someone that for real life football, I think he's going to help a team, or he's going to be able to be that deep threat, run those, long routes, but just end up running gassers all day. Just end up getting like 5 targets, probably like 3 catches for, 50 yards, and then every once in a while gives you a touchdown. I think he's one of those players. Jamari Thrash, he's looked good so far in the past 2 days. I think he has really solidified his stock. I have a 4th-round grade on him. Jaquan Jackson for Tulane. I thought he's had a nice couple of days. He had 1 rep day 2 where it was during the one-on-one drills. He made a move. He got his defender beat, and instead of running to the end zone and having the quarterback throw to him, he decided to make another move that allowed the corner to re-engage, and then it ended up being I think it was pass deflected, I want to say. I have a 5th-round grade on him. I think he's done well. He doesn't have much college production, but that's more to do with the Tulane system than anything. So then let's go on to some running backs. Marshawn Lloyd, I thought he looked good today. He's actually looked good the past 2 days. I think he probably solidified a top 5 running back for the class. Ray Davis for Kentucky, I think he's looked good as well. Both have shown that they can track the ball. They've been able to run that wheel route. So I think both guys have really helped themselves. Ben Sanat, I think, kind of hurt himself. He's had an up and down couple of days. Day 1, I think he had a couple of drops. He's been lined up as an inline tight end, as well as the H-back role where they get him in motion, kind of in the backfield. But he's had an up and down day. Jared Wiley for TCU, I think he's made some money. I think his stock has risen. He's made some nice plays both days. What I want to see more of is some pass blocking for him. So that's what I want to see. But that is the Senior Bowl coverage. And so what we're going to do now is move on to the player profiles of the day. Now, here at the Devy Digest, what we're going to do is each episode, we're going to give you a Devy guy. So get you ready for your 24 rookie drafts. We're going to get you a CFF guy, get you ready for your sub drafts and your C2C and CFF leagues, and then we're going to give you an under the radar freshman guy. The first guy that I want to talk about today is wide receiver Troy Franklin out of Oregon, 6'3", 187 pounds, a high IQ football player, a speedy receiver, has multiple gears, and what I like about him is he will slow play his corner and then just take off. He enjoys that cat and mouse game with that corner. I really do enjoy that aspect of him. Now, he is a very lanky receiver, so he can be a little too high with his running, and then he isn't as fluid with in and out breaking routes. So that is a question mark that I do have with him, that he might just be one of those vertical route guys where that's where he's going to excel at. I don't think he's someone that's going to do well in those short area screens. My comp for him has always been a lankier Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks just finds a way to get open. He just finds a way, and that's what I think Troy Franklin does well. Is he just finds a way somehow, some way, and so I that's always been my comp with him, not size wise, but just play style wise. The CFF player of the day that I want to talk about is Texas A&M wide receiver Noah Thomas. He's 6'6", 200 pounds. That wide receiver room is cleared out. There's really no one there. Connor Wegman, he's going to have to throw to somebody. He has rapport with Noah Thomas before he got hurt this past season. Noah Thomas has a good catch radius. He was a three-sport athlete in high school. He also ran the 400 meter in track and field. Now, what he does need to do is gain some functional play strength. That is something that he's going to have to do. He's going to be an interesting play for that receiving room at Texas A&M. I want to see how it plays out, but I do think he has every right to be the number one target earner there. And then the CFF, or the under the radar freshman profile of the day, is Baylor running back Joseph Dodds. He is 5'11, 195 pounds, 4-star in the composites, as high as running back 25 and as low as running back 51. Now he averages out to be running back 43, and he's a tier 5 running back for me. Now he claims he runs a 4.40. Supposedly he's been lasered at that. He is someone that will run between the tackles, has really good contact balance. He will take on defenders. He's a patient runner with pretty good vision as well. He has good speed to go back to the claim of 4.4. On tape, that speed does show itself. While I am skeptical of the 4.4, I do think he is on the speedier side, though. He does run away from defenders. You see that on tape over and over and over. The question mark that I do have for him is his receiving profile. He didn't really have much receiving work in high school, so that is a concern. Baylor did hire Cal's offensive coordinator. He was the guy that made Jaden Ott the player that he is today. So, Dodds does fit that profile. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you're wanting some more info or some more work that I do, this is my schedule. Every Sunday and Wednesday, we do the Devy Digest show. We then air it the next day on Spotify and Apple. Every Monday, we drop a 2024 player profile for you. Tuesdays, we do the Welcome to the Big House, which airs a day or two later through the CFB Nation. Every Wednesday and every Saturday, we do a Utah State, and BYU content. Get you ready for the spring game and giving you some exclusive content there. And then every Friday, we do a Devy Digest freshman player profile of the day to get you ready for your Devy and C2C supplemental drafts. So that is the schedule that I do have. Before we go, we'll be back next week. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, comment, subscribe. You can follow me at Andy_Pham1. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a rate and review. And we'll see you next time on the Devy Digest.